A warm welcome to Aviation this week on Channels Television, your home for happenings in the aviation sector. I'm Bukola Joe Ukitumbi. Empty terminals and aircraft paucity is dampening the growth of Nigeria's domestic airline sector. With a high number of aircraft still trapped outside the country after COVID-19, the availability of foreign exchange for local operators is also critical. Aviation experts believe if government could pay part of the foreign airlines' blocked funds, it should extend a hand of fellowship to local operators to help them thrive. Local airlines and the opportunities for growth is our interest on the program. Plus, Lagos State, the financial capital of Nigeria, set to build the Lekki Epe International Airport. Let's get started. Air transport is an important enabler to achieving economic growth and development. Air transport facilitates integration into the global economy and provides vital connectivity on a national and international scale. It helps generate trade, promote tourism, and create employment opportunities. Here in Nigeria, recovery post the pandemic has been impressive until the Russian-Ukraine crisis set fuel prices on the high, with Jet A1 taking the knock and sending airfares out of the reach of most regular travelers. A return ticket for an hour's journey averages between 155,000 and 160,000 naira.
The fare is on the high side, of course. How would we do? It's on the high side.
The ticket rate is a little bit expensive, and secondly, the charging for on the locations is much as well. But then it's okay.
Well, the fares has gone up, and we are coping with it. So I think that is general to all the airlines.
While prices on one side affects travelers, the airlines themselves are battling the scarcity of foreign exchange, which affects the availability of spares and the ability to carry out heavy maintenance offshore. The side effects: many aircraft on the ground, a situation that raises the alarm bells.
If you go to GAT in the morning and see the number of aircraft that are parked there that are not flying, in December there was an increase in passengers, so Nigerian Airlines went to lease. There were like 12 leased Airbuses, A320. We became an Airbus company. How many of them are flying now? Most of them. And these are leased aircraft, so you're still paying for block hours. So it's a catch-22 situation. If you go this way, you lose. If you go this way, you lose. So what do? Some people have quite new aircraft, so they don't have quite a lot of maintenance to do. There is no C or D checks. But if you notice all the people who went for heavy checks, the planes are not back. And the ones that are due for checks are all packed because you can't afford it. Our own airlines, who we are supposed to protect, we are going to black market to buy Forex, to be able to pay for spares, to be able to pay for whatever they needed. And we didn't think about that. So it's unfair that you are now denying your own children the food that you're giving to outsiders.
All of this situation, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority says it's not unmindful of as it seeks safe operations.
The aviation agencies, especially NCA, has been very flexible with the operators of where we can be flexible without compromising safety in any way, any manner. We've been flexible so that we can get you across these difficult times. It's important that this financial economic difficulties the airlines are facing, we manage it as not to translate into technical and safety issues. We have seen a bit of a trend, and it's quite worrisome. And we must put an immediate stop to that. And that's why we've been discussing giving all sort of exemptions and waivers to the industry so that they can cope.
Survival for domestic carriers appears tough as the current crisis places unbearable pressure on safe operations for a sector in serious jeopardy. On our interview segment, the chairman of Air Peace, Mr. Allen Uyema, is our guest. He believes there is greater need to support domestic airlines by providing a forex window for their operations. He also believes that aeropolitics should be played to benefit carriers carrying the nation's flag on some international routes. There's more from him.
Airline operation is in dollar, and the dollars have become scarce, not very easy to come by. Where you come by is a lot of money to be paid for you to get them. And we are not, our fares are not commensurate with the costs of operations. And that's the only way we get revenue, through fares. If you decide to raise your fares commensurately, the flying public will bear the brunt. The solution here is for the government to see a way to helping us to access foreign exchange at an affordable rate. That's all. We can get it at an affordable rate. And of course, to speed up the Dangote refinery thing, the government should help Dangote to come on stream as quickly as possible and start producing this aviation fuel within the country. That will go a long way to helping us. All this importation of aviation fuel will never solve anything. This is a country that sits on oil. I don't see the reason why we should be importing PMS and Jet A1 fuel. We have so many of, after COVID-19, the resumption of operations in 2020, in 2021, yes, 2021, we had a lot of our planes outside the country. At a time, I had over 22 planes scattered all over the world, undergoing maintenance. As I speak to you, not all of them are back. I still have about 15 or so aircraft out because of paucity of foreign exchange, reducing our capacity to operate. The Nigerian airlines are really very strong. They are trying. I'm sure if the foreign airlines are faced with 1/4 of the things we face in this country, they will not be able to survive. The central bank has just called on us to submit our forex demands so that they could see how they could help. I don't blame the central bank. They are trying. They can only give what they have. They cannot manufacture dollars. That is why this hula-bulu about owing some airlines outside Nigeria. Nigeria cannot manufacture the dollars. They are not giving their own airlines. It's not as if they are giving us and they are not giving the foreign airlines. The central bank governor has always wanted to support the indigenous operations. He's always calling on us to start international operations too, so that we could save money for the country. But the foreign nations are not allowing us to come to their country. You see, it pained me when Nigerians, some agents went on television criticizing the federal government of Nigeria as if our government had failed because foreign airlines didn't get their funds. I support foreign airlines to get their funds, but the Central Bank of Nigeria didn't seize anybody's money. It's just that they wanted to get the exchange through the Central Bank official window. They could also go through I&E window, which is a little bit more expensive to get it. After all, Nigerians are paying through their noses to get this. And in the last 25 years, Nigerians have been paying more than any other country for commensurate miles compared to other nations. In the last 25 years, people from South Africa, 9 hours flight to London, they have been paying less than Nigeria 6 hours pays. Nigerians will fly for 6 hours, they pay more than the person flying 9 hours from Johannesburg to London. It has been there, so it didn't start today. It didn't start today. Nigeria signed BASA. The Bilateral Air Services Agreement provides for both repatriation of funds, but the most important aspect of BASA is reciprocity. These foreign airlines at their countries, have they abided by that? Have they respected the BASA they signed with Nigeria? The answer is no.
Away from the domestic sector to the foreign scene, this time aviation bosses come under fire at the Air France crash trial. Air France Flight 447 crashed hours after departing Rio de Janeiro, having run into a high-altitude thunderstorm in 2009. 13 years after, relatives are asking for justice.
More than 13 years after an Air France jet plunged into the Atlantic Ocean, killing all 228 people on board, The French carrier and plane maker Airbus are on trial in a Paris court with relatives seeking light at the end of a long tunnel. Flight 447 vanished in pitch darkness during an equatorial storm en route from Rio de Janeiro to Paris on June the 1st, 2009. After a 2-year search for the A330's black boxes, French investigators found pilots had mishandled the temporary loss of data from eye-stop sensors and pushed the 205-ton jet into an aerodynamic stall or freefall without responding to alerts. But the BEA Accident Agency also disclosed that Air France had expressed concerns about increased icing incidents before the crash and had started receiving improved speed probes. Experts say the relative roles of pilot or sensor error, as well as erratic displays of fatigue, will be key to the historic trial. At the trial, the chief executives of both companies submitted plea after the names of all 228 victims were read out at the Paris Criminal Court as rows of relatives listened in silence. Families of several victims shouted protests including shame and too little too late as Air France chief executive and then Airbus chief executive Guillaume Faury expressed condolences in opening statements in the 9-week trial. Although earlier discussions with France's BEA Accident Agency, Air France and Airbus focused on the reliability of the probes and made dozens of safety recommendations from cockpit design to training and search and rescue.
It has led to changes in the way that pilots are trained to deal with the upset of an aircraft or loss of control. What hasn't been fully reconciled are the differences between Air France and Airbus about the more fundamental reason for this crash. The pilots clearly didn't do what they were trained to do, but why is that? Is that because they were poorly trained, or was it because they were confused by a blizzard of confusing signals from the cockpit, or was it a mixture of both? We're going to hear an awful lot about that from both sides during this trial.
Airbus blames pilot's error for the crash, while the flag carrier claims confusing alarms overwhelmed the pilots. Lawyers warned against allowing the long-awaited trial, which is going ahead after a decision to abandon the case was overturned, to sideline family members represented on day one. It is the first time French companies face trial for involuntary manslaughter following an air crash. Victims' families say individual managers should also be in the dock. The maximum fine for either company, if convicted of involuntary manslaughter, is just €225,000, equivalent to $220,000, or 5 times the maximum monetary penalty for an individual who, unlike a company, can also face jail, according to French legal experts. China has certified its homegrown narrow-body C919 jet, representing a major milestone in the country's ambitions to challenge Airbus and Boeing in commercial aerospace. The first C919, designed to rival single-aisle jets made by Airbus and Boeing, will be delivered by the end of 2022. The plane, produced by state-owned manufacturer Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, COMAC, had been widely expected to be certified by the end of the month after 2 aircraft flew to Beijing on September the 13th. The C919, launched 14 years ago and designed to carry up to 168 passengers, will compete against the popular Airbus A320neo and Boeing 737 MAX families in the world's second biggest aviation market, as China looks to boost its technological self-reliance amid trade tensions.
When we return after the break, Newsflash is next. Do join us again. The International Air Transport Association's data for global air cargo in August 2022 shows the industry's resilience and economic uncertainties. Global demand, measured in cargo ton kilometers, fell 8.3% compared to August 2021. This was a slight improvement on the year-on-year decline of 9.7% seen in July. IATA says August presented several indicators with upside potential. Oil prices stabilized, inflation slowed, and there was a slight expansion in goods traded globally. But the decrease in new export orders in all markets except the US tells us that developments in the months ahead will need to be watched carefully. An aviation expert in Nigeria says cost of shipping cargo remains high in the country.
Air cargo is specifically, people are not sending, food items to their loved ones abroad again because of the freight cost. I can give you an example. Let's say 3 months ago, let's say a particular size of cargo is shipped to US for, let's say, 100,000. It's over 200,000 now, as of today. So you look at the relative worth of what you're sending versus the amount you're using to do air freight. You either forgo it and then wait until probably when you're actually traveling, and then you can pack it with you. It pays us now to go outside the country, look for businesses that may be originating into Nigeria, but we have to get paid in Forex. So for me as a business owner now, I'm not really looking at marketing domestically because the Naira is losing its value. I give out invoices many times, and by the time I'm paid and I'm paying my counterparty outside the country, I'm losing out. So it pays me now to go and meet those manufacturers who have a contract to deliver to them directly and go and meet them that, okay, I can do this for you, you pay me in dollars, and then I'll be able to meet up. So that's what we're doing now, to be able to survive.
These are 7 of the 11 Nigerians rescued by the Liberian Immigration Service on that country's high sea after stowing away on a sea vessel from their Apapa port in Lagos on September 7. After 1 month of being in the LIS custody, they have flown back into the country in the spirit of the ECOWAS protocol. While 13 stowed away and 11 returned, with 2 losing their lives at sea, the controller in charge at the MMIA Immigration Command, Adeola Adeshokon, praised the efforts of their counterparts from Liberia while advising youths not to take illegal migration routes, which is capable of endangering their lives.
From what we had from each and every one of them, they actually boarded the ship from Apapa here, not knowing where they are going to, thinking that the ship will be going to Europe, and they were all seeking for greener pastures, because 2 of them lost their life in the process. They talked about hot water flushing, swimming in icy, some without a life jacket, and they were just thrown down to destiny to die.
Staying with the MMIA, a committee on reforms in the Nigerian Immigration Service has been touring the facilities at the Terminals 1 and 2 in Lagos. The Deputy Controller General, Border Management, Aminu Mohammed, said the tour is aimed at boosting its facilities and enhancing personnel training.
Whatever innovation you desire to bring, you have to get the people to do it. And these people, they are under the Human Resource Management Directorate. So we ask a lot of questions. What we have in the service, is it what we all desire? The answer certainly is no. We also ask this question: when we compare what is happening in the immigration service with what is obtainable overseas, and even the countries that are within the same ECOWAS sub-region with us, say proudly that we are better than these ECOWAS countries in terms of operations? So the question is still dangling, looking for answer. So we now concentrate on this human resource to find out what are the problems.
For the host in charge, she said the provision of more checking-in and processing counters for immigration officers would enhance passenger travel experience.
This is a better forum to say that we need to go digital when it comes to our departure card and arrival card, because they attack us almost every day. It was embarrassing to me, and I know that officers go through that every day. We can as well go online with a simple tool and let them fill their departure card online.
The move to enhance speedy facilitation of passengers at airports is gaining global traction as more countries are deploying advanced technology to make travel experience pleasurable and, more importantly, reduce processing time.
Now, when we have Joe and August visiting,
and finally on the program, Lagos State, the financial capital of Nigeria, is set to build the Lekki International Airport as the federal government has given approval for its construction.
We in Civil Aviation Ministry are pleased to issue out this approval to Lagos State.
The Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, presented the approval document to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the 2022 Eyigbeti Economic Summit in Lagos.
Stage, the Executive Director representing the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, the representative of the Office of the Public-Private Partnership, PPP, and the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Lagos State.
The minister said the airport, which will be constructed on 3,500 acres of land, will reduce traffic at the Muritala Mohammed International Airport and boost economic growth for the state.
In this city, which houses about 26.7% of our national GDP, housing our stock exchange, 200 financial institutions, 25 million people on 5,377 square kilometers of landmass, plus Eco-Atlantic, plus all the industries, the rich culture, the tradition, the history, the tourist attraction, the AO festival, and so on and so forth, needs to be connected to the world to continue to be the center of the economy, of the activity of the country, Nigeria. And the only way you can link this city of Lagos to the world is obviously not the only way, but the best way to connect it is by infrastructure and especially civil aviation.
On the other hand, Governor Sanwo-Olu says the infrastructure will be built under a public-private partnership project and is designed to cater for cargo and passengers.
So for us, it's all about partnership. You can see a real partnership with the federal government through the Ministry of Aviation, but the real beneficiaries are the citizens, are the businesses that we're trying to activate more, and so we're doing business to government to business and business to business, and that's how you develop economics like this, give them a platform where infrastructure, things that are government, related, give it to them and give them the opportunity for their business to be able to thrive. This infrastructure will reduce journey time, will make Lagos, easily and better accessible, and people can make better, local and international business decisions given all the investment that have happened, in that area. So you can see is a right step in the right direction.
A popular quote says, flying may not be all plain sailing, but the fun of it is worth the price. That's where we call it a day on the program. I'm Bukola Joe Kitumbi. Bye for now.